Hey guys, so I thought I would jump on here again tonight and, discuss something that I've been wanting to discuss for a long time, but I had to sort of gather my thoughts about it. So I want to talk about an aspect that I have myself as well, and an aspect that I see quite a lot in people's charts. So I've thought about it a lot, and it's Moon Square Saturn. So how can natal moon square Saturn in someone's birth chart? How can that show up in their psychology, in their life, um, in some of the struggles that they might have in their life? So, I made a few points, and I will go through them. So, what I will say overall is that Moon square Saturn to me usually indicates that the person is not without their emotional issues. So they have some kind of emotional karmic issues that they're working through. This can be expressed in states like melancholy, in some cases even depression. I mean, I don't want to diagnose anyone or anything. I don't want to diagnose depression here, but Moon square Saturn can be someone who's just generally a little bit depressive, or is at least in touch in some way with like the harder parts of existence and the emotional existence and the emotional realm. So they can kind of be quite hard on themselves and get down in the dumps pretty easily. And some Moon Square Saturn people can also have like an emotional hardness. Now, they're very, very sensitive, but I would say the emotional hardness is just a way for them to sort of remain in their shell and to sort of not withhold information. What I would say about Moon Square Saturn people, an advice that I would give is that like they actually need to have a space, at least some people in their lives who they can share things with and not withhold any information. And they actually need to have that emotional honesty and that emotional trust between them and someone else in order to rise above their emotional struggles and their emotional hardships. So while Moon Square Saturn is indicative of someone who can be very sort of can tend to get down in the dumps a lot and kind of be sort of melancholy or emotionally hard, or kind of be in touch in some way with some of the lower vibrations or of like emotions or just sadness and things like that. But I think karmically they just need to, for them to rise above it, they just need to have a space where they can share openly and freely with a friend or with a therapist or with a mother or anybody that will listen and really kind of give them that space to share their emotions, so that they can like learn to live with their emotional struggles and kind of rise above them. It's not necessarily the case that they will just sort of be able to run away from them or get rid of them or anything like that, but they can sort of learn to live with and manage their emotional hardships better if they have a space where they can just kind of let them out. Because Moon Square Saturn, my next point is shyness. Moon Square Saturn people can be shy. They can have that shell around them, or that kind of emotional hiding that they do. So they might hide some of their emotions. They may sort of be a little bit more pessimistic, or a little bit more sort of I don't want to say low key, but like they can be a little bit more sort of like, you can tell that there's actually a lot more going on in the surface, below the surface, than what they're giving off. So Moon Square Saturn is, it's indicative of some kind of emotional struggles, some emotional issues that the person is dealing with karmically, that might be expressed in a sort of emotional hardness or coldness or just melancholy, sadness, things like that. And this can tie into an emotionally difficult childhood that they might have had. So they may actually hold a lot of karma from the emotional past, so to speak. So they're working through their past karma through their difficult emotional life, which may be tied very much to their childhood. So, a lot of Moon Square Saturn people can have some kind of karmic issues with the mother, or with their roots, with their ties with their family, issues from the past that they're very much still dealing with. See, the emotional pain with these people kind of lingers. It tends to linger a bit. So that's why they may need to go to therapy or work through their emotions in a way that maybe takes more time than somebody who doesn't have this aspect, or they may be dealing with things from way back in the past that, some people may have just kind of forgotten about these incidents. But Moon Square Saturn people can kind of leave that emotional baggage kind of on their shoulders for a long time, because Saturn is so sort of long term. It's building something up in the long term. So they may have had a difficult childhood. They may be still working through something to do with their childhood. Or they may have had a relatively happy childhood, but there was still an element of it that was very difficult, or maybe parents split up, or there was issues with the issues. Sorry, there might have been issues with the mother that are maybe still carrying on even into their adult life. So Moon Square Saturn people can have some kind of karmic issue with the mother. There's a very karmic relationship with the mother. Moon Square Saturn people can also be quite achievement oriented, in a sense where they're very hard on themselves and they're hard working, and they want to inside emotionally, they know that they want to have an impact and to grow something and make something, and they want to build something up for themselves or for society. But the emotions in this case can kind of get in the way a little bit of that achievement. So these people, they don't work without struggles, if that makes sense. So their achievements may be very much tied to their own emotional struggles, in that they may have to kind of work through some emotional baggage first before they can be able to achieve something big that they want to achieve. So it doesn't necessarily come easy for these folks. So the emotions can get in the way of achieving structure or achieving goals. And what I don't mean that they won't be able to achieve their goals because their emotions get in the way. That's ridiculous. But it can be the case with these people. What this aspect can indicate is that there's a way that the emotions can get in the way of building structure for your life. So Saturn is very structured, and Moon is more like our emotional whims and our changing moods. And so that can get a little bit in the way of achieving some kind of stability and structure. But once they can kind of overcome that, they can actually be amazingly achievement oriented. And because they are so hard on themselves, and that's something that's sort of built into their psychology, maybe from their childhood, maybe from the way their parents were maybe hard on them, or maybe they just had to grow up early or something like that, it can be the case with these people that once they overcome their emotional struggles, or they're able to kind of put that aside a little bit, or kind of work alongside that, they can achieve amazing things because they push themselves so hard, because they are so hard working, and because essentially they are hard on themselves. So while that being hard on yourself can mean that you sort of give up, or you don't maybe try as hard as you could, or that might get in the way. There's the negative expression of that. But the positive expression of that, of being a little bit hard on yourself, not too hard, but just a little bit hard on yourself, that you can actually achieve and build something great, because you had that self-talk of I'm going to push myself, and so that can actually achieve something great. So my last point would be that Moon Square Saturn, because of these emotional issues, and because of they're attuned to hardships, emotional hardships, they're actually an old soul in a way, and they can be very wise. So I think with the emotional struggles and with some of the things that they might go through in their lives, they develop a lot of wisdom quite early on. So they're attuned to that kind of wisdom mindset. They're attuned to that. So they don't necessarily just want to play around all the time. They want to, there's a part of them at least, there's other things going on in the natal chart, but there's a part of them at least that is kind of has their eye on the bigger things and the higher like thinking and sort of like what can be done, what can be achieved, what do I want to achieve, what will make me feel good, which is the moon, to achieve, Saturn. So they can grow into these wise creatures quite early on. But I think, Moon square Saturn, from what I have seen and from what I know about this aspect, they can, have certain emotional hardships that, a part of their life's path or part of their karma might be to really get in touch with their own emotions and like, why do I feel like this, or why do I still think about those things from the past, and really kind of not be afraid to maybe go to therapy or journal or just let it all out in some way and really process it and really work through it, and then they can achieve great things once they do that. So I think Moon square Saturn is just, they shouldn't be ashamed or afraid to be on a path where sort of therapy might be important, or working through their emotions or some kind of hardships might be important, because once they get through that, they can achieve great things. So I think it's important for these people just to get in touch with their emotions first of all, and to just go all in trying to get through certain emotional issues and not repress things. These people can have a tendency to repress emotions or to hold them in or to withhold them from other people. But I think Moon square Saturn is an indication in the natal chart that this person has some emotional work to do in this lifetime, and it can be a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be something to be ashamed of, like going to therapy or having emotional issues or anything like that. It's nothing to be ashamed of. This is something that karmically you're wired to, or like you're tuned to. So you may have had certain issues in your past that you may have been unable to avoid, and it's just part of your path to kind of work through those and become wise through those, through the way you get through them. So we build wisdom through our harder experiences, if that makes sense. So I think, if somebody has this in their natal chart, it is an indication of someone whose path involves, at least a little bit, includes sort of like part of their path is to work through some kind of karmic struggles emotionally, maybe to do with their mother, maybe to do with their family, maybe to do with their childhood, maybe to do with their emotional sort of introversion or some kind of emotional like holding back. They may just be very shy people that need to just open up more, and that might be their lesson in life, something like that. So I hope this made sense, and if you like this content, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to hear more from me on these kinds of topics or whatever thoughts I have. So thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.